right, so welcome everybody to the GhostSquawk plus EtherChest Ethereum 2.0 Ether staking event. Um, my name is Chen. For those of you who don't know me, I'm one of the co-founders of GhostSquawk. At GhostSquawk, what we try to do is we try to leverage AI technology to cross language barriers and democratize the access to financial technologies and financial education for those all around the world. We do this by providing free tools on our Discord server to access market data, information, and research directly within our Discord. On our website, we also developed AI technology where people can subscribe to gain access to news aggregators that applies AI technology on top of it to give you effectively signals on whether you should buy or sell particular asset classes within the market. For this exciting event, we've invited a specialist, Daniel Pittman, who is the founder of EtherChest, to present to us the Ethereum 2.0 blockchain and Ether staking. So Daniel, welcome, and thank you very much for inviting or for joining us on this event. Could you please tell everybody a little bit about yourself and what we're going to be seeing today?
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, thank you so much for having me. So my name is Daniel Pittman. I, like you said, am the founder of EtherChest.com, an Ethereum 2.0 staking service. What else about me? So I've been in the industry for probably 9 years or so. Since 2011 is kind of when I first started messing around with it. 2013, I started really trading and mining. I had one of the original Antminer S ones, like we were kind of discussing before the show. And yeah, I mean, about 3 years ago, I started learning how to write smart contracts on the Ethereum blockchain and really started understanding the technology, not just on a basic level, but just more, on the coding side of things, the way that, this kind of smart contract works and what it really is and how it really, helps people like not necessarily help people, but just kind of helps the industry. Bitcoin, in my opinion, was the prototype to all of this. Ethereum is the next level stuff. And with Ethereum 2.0 coming out, we are really in for a ride. I think that we are at a point now where everybody is going to start paying attention. But yeah, so I'm really excited to be here. And thanks again, Chen, for having me. And thank you, everybody that showed up. So yeah, without further ado, I'll go ahead and start. As long as you guys can see my screen here. So this is going to be a basic overview of kind of all cryptos, kind of how, the beginnings to all the way up until Ethereum 2.0, and then how EtherChest kind of plays into all of that. So Ethereum 2.0, the future of Ethereum. Here's kind of the things I'm going to be talking about. I'll try not to read off my screen too much, and I'll have a lot of points. But yeah, so we'll do kind of a proof of work versus proof of stake. I'll talk about what Ethereum is. I'll talk about staking on Ethereum 2.0. Some of the drawbacks of that, all the different phases that we're going to be going through inside of the launch, the different types of Ethereum staking, and then of course the EtherChest ecosystem. So yeah, so crypto, Bitcoin, Satoshi Nakamoto. When did crypto first come about? Well, let's see here. 2008, October 31st is when that white paper was really published. The white paper being kind of this overall what is Bitcoin? What are we doing here, and why did they do it? Well, it's to provide a peer-to-peer electronic cash system. Let me read you just a little excerpt out of the Bitcoin white paper here. So, and this is under the network section. I don't know if you guys have ever seen it, or if I'm sure some of you have, but if you haven't, I truly recommend reading it. It's really not as heavy as most people would think, but this one section here just really kind of breaks it down for me, anyways. And steps to run the network. So basically, how do we make Bitcoin work, right? So one, new transactions are broadcast to all nodes. So when somebody spends money, somebody sends money, that transaction is going to be transmitted to all of these different computers that are part of the network. Each node collects new transactions into a block. So as what that means is, as the transactions are coming in, they're putting them inside of this block. You may have heard of solving blocks to earn rewards. Well, this is where these blocks are coming from. So each node works on finding a difficult proof of work for its block, and that's kind of just trying to find the legitimacy inside of the transaction itself. And there's this concept of double spending, which is basically forging money. This system allows nodes to make sure that that is not happening within the system. And that's kind of this next point. Nodes accept the block only if all transactions in it are valid and not already spent. So that's the double spending part. Then nodes express their acceptance of that block by working on creating the next block on the chain using a hash of the accepted block as the previous hash. So that's a little confusing. So basically, as the transactions are validated, that validation is added to kind of the next encryption algorithm, the next block that they have to solve, which actually increases the size of it. Now, this is where kind of block chains come from, where one block is connected to the next block is connected to the next block, and each block actually, becomes more difficult to solve. Who was it? So this is kind of an elusive character, elusive team. Nobody knows, and on it, after all of these years, nobody still knows. There's of course lots of rumors. There's talk of gangsters who are still in prison. There's talks of, coders that have been doing it their entire life. There's talks of economists, but no, then there's billionaires in Australia or millionaires in Australia who claim to do it, but we'll see about that. But yeah, so this is, I had a funny question earlier. What happens when Satoshi Nakamoto outs himself? I don't think he ever will. I don't know if that would be good. I think the elusiveness of it all is just gives, has this sort of appeal that people really really enjoy about crypto. And I don't even know if it would be smart for him to do it. I think people would probably be after him. So I don't think we will ever find out for certain who Satoshi Nakamoto and his team was. So all right. So when you use crypto, you use wallets. So basically, it's just like money. You keep money in a wallet. But in cryptocurrency, wallets are pieces of hex code which contain your private key. So in cryptocurrency, you have this public key, private key kind of relationship. And this goes back to actually the roots of cryptography. So if you want to send a secure message, the best way to do it is to have a public key and a private key. Whoever has the private key now has access to any of the information that's contained within what's called a hex. And the hex actually contains both the private and the public key. So that's kind of what people always try to hack. Good luck on that. So there's different types of wallets now. A paper wallet, and this is the most basic kind, the most probably secure kind on the planet. It's literally, as it says, a piece of paper with your private key and public key on it. People like these because they're not connected to the internet, and they can store them wherever they want. They can, put them, funny enough, they can put them in a safety deposit box in a bank if they really wanted to. The next type is a hardware wallet. So the hardware wallets are something that have just kind of over the last few years have come about. And the way that these work is they're typically on a USB drive. One of them being, I believe, Trezor is one of the hardware wallets. And basically it's similar to a paper wallet where it doesn't have to always be connected to the internet. And whenever you want to use it, you plug it into your computer, or a computer, doesn't have to be your own, and you can access it via password. I actually don't use one, so I'm not 100% certain how they work, but that's the general gist of it.
Really? You don't use a hardware wallet?
No. I don't. Dude, I don't know. I just don't really I have trust issues, man. I
So
don't know.
so so are you a paper guy?
Yeah, I love paper wallets. That's kind of my
Okay,
thing.
okay, okay. I
Yeah, yeah.
I I I have a nano ledger.
Yeah, Nano Ledger. I mean, I'm sure they're cool. I've been thinking about getting one, honestly. I don't know. Sometimes I feel like I'm old school, if there's such a thing on crypto.
You're gonna
I like trust, dude. Get out of here. No, dude. I got So what I do use, I mean, I have Linux instances, encrypted and all that good stuff. So
okay, okay.
really, I use for the most part, I use software wallets.
Okay. I thought you wrote down your like 20 random words.
Yeah, I do. I do, man. I absolutely do, and I don't screenshot it. I write it down.
You write it down. Yeah.
Oh man, I got a funny story about that. So in 2013, a really good friend of mine, he was my roommate for a while. He listened to me. He's like, "Oh, all right, I'll buy some crypto." So he buys it and moves on with his life. It goes up and goes down and everything. And he moved back in with me at the beginning of the year. He's since moved out again, but he needed a place to stay. So I was like, "Oh, come on back, brother." So so he's like, "Hey man, I still have those words. We should look it up." I'm like, "Dude, let's see what you got. I totally forgot you had crypto." He wrote them down wrong. He wrote them
No.
down wrong. Yeah, dude. Yeah. So I don't think he had that much. But yeah, he wrote them down wrong. So you can do that. Be really careful. Really, really careful. So yeah, so now that's yeah, right. So that's kind of the paper wallet, and that kind of feeds into the software wallets as well. So when you create a software wallet, whether it's custodial or non-custodial, and I'll talk about that in a second, they're going to give you what's called a seed phrase, and that's the phrase that we're talking about. And it's a neat way of kind of encrypting this private key hex and everything. It's just these cool words that are human readable, so you're not looking at OX11X, all this stuff. You're like, what is this, right? All right, so like I mentioned, so there's non-custodial and there's custodial wallets. Non-custodial wallets are, let me pull this up here. So non or custodial wallets are wallets to which you do not own the private keys, and they're accessed via device connected to the internet. So a very common example is Coinbase. Coinbase is a custodial wallet. They actually just came out with a non-custodial, but Coinbase, if you use them, which they are a trusted service, I won't say that. Their USD coin is actually FDIC insured. I don't know if you guys knew that or not, up to $250,000. So if you do use them to trade, as long as you don't keep more than 250 grand in their USD, you actually should be safe to any kind of hacks. I don't know how they work that out, but good for them, right? Um, and
I
so
believe that's standard insurance with the FDIC.
yeah, I think it is. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So yeah, good for them. And that says a lot for companies
Oh
like
yeah,
that.
100%. It really
Man,
gives like users of that service the assurance that if anything were to happen, they would basically have their cryptos insured, against
yeah,
like
no,
a hack
that's
or something
really
like that,
cool.
right? So it's like peace of mind.
Yeah, it absolutely is, and that's what so, I used to call them Conbase. Well, whatever, Conbase over here, they're custodial wallets, man. I keep my keys, But then, they really, really work to legitimize themselves. In fact, they have a headquarters here in Portland, Oregon. They won't hire me. I don't know why, but they just haven't met me, I guess. But yeah, I've been applying to work for them. I think it'd be really cool. I do actually believe in their product. I don't use them to trade personally, but I do use them to purchase crypto. So
Oh, okay.
um, the next kind of wallet, and this is the best way to do it. This is the standard. If you're gonna deal in cryptocurrency, you want to use non-custodial wallets, and these are wallets to which you do own the keys, and they're like it says, they're the most secure type. So the paper wallet, for instance, that's a non-custodial. Many of the software wallets, they're non-custodial wallets. There's some apps out there on the phone that aren't aren't not they're custodial, but there's software wallets. But yeah, I highly recommend to everybody, keep your keys, use a non-custodial wallet. Let's get to the next slide here. So exchanges. So exchanges are also, well, there's a couple of different types. So the main exchanges, Bittrex, Coinbase, Binance, some of the other ones that I haven't really used, those are custodial. So it's not necessarily that safe to keep your cryptocurrency on them at all times. There's been many times in the past, I think, was it last year, the I forget the name, but the exchange up in Canada, um,
Oh, Quadrica, I believe.
is that, yeah, is the guy who went to India and
Yeah,
okay,
yeah,
so
yeah, yeah. Yeah, like
yeah,
he had,
yeah.
like, I believe it was like 200 million in
Oh,
cryptos or something like
so
that.
yeah, this guy. So and this was an operational security issue. I mean, these guys they needed to have this figured out a little bit different. So yeah, sure. Only one man had access to the private keys, and I guess that's pretty secure. However, what kind of happened is this man went on vacation to India and he caught one of those terrible flus and he died, and so did all of the crypto that was in there. And like Chen mentioned, it was like 200 million, and I think it was one of Canada's largest exchanges at the time. So be
Yeah.
really careful using exchanges. I'm not saying they'll rip you off. I'm saying just know that if somebody dies, that might be gone. So EtherChest, we use multi-sig. We have different OPSEC because of that exact reason.
Yeah.
So yeah, so these are used to buy and sell cryptocurrency. Bittrex and Binance, like I mentioned, are some of the major ones. I think Binance has. So there were some issues. They weren't allowed to allow Americans to trade. I don't know. I don't actually use them anymore. And I was explaining earlier, it's more because I just have a grudge with them. So when they first came out, and I think they still do it. They have their utility token. They have a native token themselves, and you can use it to pay for your fees. So I had a whole bunch of them. I was like, huh, cool. I'm going to trade for free. Well, it went to the moon, as people say, and I missed out. Yeah, whatever. So the next kind of exchange, and I really like this. I really like the idea of this. Are decentralized exchanges. So these are exchanges which are managed in a decentralized manner. So via typically a smart contract or something like that. So that means that there's not really one person who has all of the control. And it's the software, this immutable Ethereum smart contract software that actually manages the trading of it. I know that people can control it because there's, of course, safety protocols built into it. But I really like the fact that they're using this smart contract technology to provide a means of exchange for people, and that's really, I think, is what's cool. Sadly, when you use a decentralized exchange at the time, at right now, there's typically not a lot of volume, and so it's hard to really, you can trade, but you may not get the money that you think you're going to get for it because there's just not the volume on a lot of these. And the number one rule. So the number one rule of cryptocurrency is if you don't have the keys, it's not your crypto. Okay. So not your keys, not your crypto. I just want to be absolutely clear about this because there's a lot of people out there, like Coinbase. I love them, but it's not your crypto. That's not how cryptocurrency works. The power of it is in the private key. So if you have the private key, then you can prove that you own this money. It's yours. All you got to do is sign a transaction. Now everybody knows that it's you're the one that has it, or whoever has that key, that's who owns that crypto. So I just want to make that absolutely clear. And don't lose your keys, please. Don't write them down wrong. Don't lose them. Don't lose them.
Kind of like your buddy there.
Like my buddy. Yeah, I hope he's watching. I think he was gonna come. I'm talking about you. Okay. So all right. So yeah, but moving on here. So proof of work versus proof of stake. Okay. So proof of work is uh I guess I'll back up just a little bit. So this is what Bitcoin uses, and what since it's peer to peer, what the nodes are trying to do is reach consensus. They're trying to all be on the same page to legitimize, to validate that transaction. And that's one of the biggest powers of this is consensus mechanisms, right? So a consensus this is a proof of work is a consensus mechanism whereby users compete to prove the validity of blockchain transactions, and they're rewarded for doing so. Now I've included a link. You can read about proof of work a little bit more, but basically, when it was made, it was unbelievable. I mean, nobody, at least I'd never seen anything like it before. And you were where the blockchain or where Bitcoin actually comes from is through this proof of work. Your node performs the work. If you validate that transaction first, then you actually earn the reward. So it's incentivized to not cheat. And again, you'll want to read the Bitcoin white paper. Satoshi Nakamoto breaks it down better than anybody else. So now, of course, there are issues with just like anything. There's some issues with it. 51% attacks. So what are these? The one thing that So it's kind of like how did I used to put it? So it's almost like a battle of good and evil, right? I mean, we're starting to get into kind of the philosophy of it, where there's people who are trying to control the network because who controls the network is the one who says whether or not the transactions are valid. And in fact, they can invalidate any of the other transactions. So there's this thing called 51% attack. And I think it happened to Bitcoin a couple of times. I know that it happened at the very beginning, and the Satoshi Nakamoto team actually had to buy a whole bunch of computers to stop it. But I don't think it lasted very long, and they were able to thwart it. Now, a 51% attack is if it's, let's say, you guys, all of us are now in the blockchain where each one of us has a node and we're miners. Okay, well, if I buy enough miners more than you guys have, then basically I'm going to earn all of the rewards. In fact, I can just block you guys out and you guys will never earn rewards again. So that is an inherent issue, and it's something that happens to new coins quite a bit. People have always asked me, well, why don't you launch your own coin? And it's like, well, it's not that easy. Like, yeah, sure, the code's easy, but I got to do it secretly. And if I do that, then everybody's going to yell at me and say that I pre-mined, So it's kind of a double-edged sword, unfortunately, but we have technology to solve this issue. So the other kind of issue with proof of work is that it takes expensive hardware. I'm not even sure what a Bitcoin miner costs anymore, but I think it's $700-800. And the the difficulty always rises, so you have to get this new thing. So I'll explain difficulty a little bit. So remember when I was talking about when I was reading from the white paper, the chains, the blocks, they add the last transaction, and it becomes more difficult to solve that. So since it's more difficult, you need a higher powered computer, and the difficulty is rising all the time, and it's actually exponentially rising. I think we've mined like 18.5 million out of 21 million Bitcoin, and it's going to take hundreds of years to get those last bit. So sadly, you have to use kind of expensive hardware, and you got to always be upgrading it. And that's kind of what drove me away from mining it altogether, is because, well, if I'm just going to spend money on mining, I might as well just buy it. And the third thing, high electricity consumption. I just read an article today that the Bitcoin mining rigs in Russia are bleeding the power stations dry. So it takes so much power to do it. Yeah, sure, that kind of gives it value, because okay, well, they had to buy this expensive equipment. It takes all this electricity that they have to pay for, but that's just not viable. I mean, you know what? At some point, we're gonna have a Dyson sphere that mines only Bitcoin. I mean, it's just not viable, in my opinion. So the high electricity consumption is something that is really on people's concern, and of course, it's not exactly green, right? So on, I hope you. Okay, so I hope you guys. Do you have any questions so far? I know it's starting to get pretty deep at this point, and if you do, please feel free to ask them.
Joel's asking if this will be recorded, and to answer your question, Joel, it will be recorded. It's gonna be posted on the GhostSquawk YouTube page, as well as on any sources that the Daniel wants to give after this presentation is done.
Right, right. Yeah, good question. I know there's a bunch of people that are trying to watch it, but they're overseas. So sorry, it's at the wrong time for you guys. But anyways, moving on. So we're getting pretty close to the nitty gritty here. But so proof of stake, or not a proof of stake. So different algorithms. Excuse me. So there's these miners are solving these different encryption algorithms, some of which are SHA-256, Script, SHA-3, Crypto Night. There's all these kind of different algorithms. I'm not going to get into them, but basically they're encryption algorithms that these mining rigs are specifically designed to solve. Who uses proof of work? Well, Bitcoin. Ethereum at the moment, they're going to be using it for a little while longer, but it's going to kind of, and I'll explain this, but it's going to be in conjunction with.
Wait a minute. I thought Ethereum was using proof of stake this whole time.
No, no, you use a graphics card to mine it. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, they use it's proof of work. Yep.
Wow, I thought it was proof of stake this whole time.
Nope. No, not until that's what's so amazing, So this is the first time that something this large is happening. I mean, like I mentioned earlier, this is almost like Bitcoin first being invented, but everybody knows what Bitcoin is,
Yeah.
So this is like Ethereum completely reinventing itself and moving from proof of work to proof of stake. And imagine when that eventually happens with Bitcoin.
Well, man, I got so much questions for you.
All right, I'll keep moving. So another one, Litecoin, of course, that's a clone of Bitcoin. Zcash, others, Monero, etc. And you can look at that link there, and that's where I got this information. All right, so okay, proof of stake. What is proof of stake? So a proof of stake is it has a distributed consensus mechanism. Here, let me pull up my notes for that one. So basically, the creator of the next block is kind of chosen in a different combination of random selections based on its wealth or kind of the age of the stake currency, and that depends on the type of proof of stake that you're using. And I'll actually explain that here on the next slide. So basically, there's some advantages, of course. You're not going to have the 51% attacks happen. It's impossible. That's just not how it works. Each kind of miner, if you will, they're called validators or delegates, or everybody's got a different name for this, but each validator is chosen kind of at random, and it doesn't matter if you have 15 validators or if you have one or a million. You cannot take over the network in that manner. It's just not possible. Now, there is a way that you can take over some of this, and I'm going to explain that to you. It's I've been waiting on it for years to happen, and it finally happened, and it I think people are still in denial of it. And if any Hive users are here, I'm sorry, but you're in denial still. But yeah, so the advantages of proof of stake. So no 51% attacks, much lower power consumption. I can run 100 validators on a single machine. Okay. And a machine being just a regular desktop computer with, 16 gigs of RAM, um, just a regular i5 processor. And of course, over time, as the chains grow, the requirements for the computer do increase, but nothing like Bitcoin, nothing like proof of work at all, at all. Um, but there are, of course, some disadvantages to proof of stake, or POS, as we like to call it. Not the other kind of POS. Anyways, so it's more difficult to secure. Okay, so because you are using, you are kind of storing your money, your crypto, in a certain location. It doesn't make it as secure as proof of work. Okay, and it's a much more complicated type of system. And when things are more complicated, they're more prone to errors. So in Ethereum's case, for instance, they had to audit that contract, I don't know how many times, and I don't know how many tens of thousands of dollars it costs to do, but they have to do it over and over and over. And audit means they try to hack it, basically. They try to find any kind of vulnerability to try to hack this smart contract that they use. And I'll talk about smart contracts here in a second. All right, so there's different types of, just like there's different types of consensus mechanisms within proof of work. There's different types of consensus mechanisms in proof of stake. So there's DPoS, which is delegated proof of stake. Basically, this is very similar to, like I mentioned, the Hive blockchain, formerly known as the Steam blockchain, and actually very similar to how Tron operates. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the Tron blockchain, but
I got a lot of questions for you.
you want to ask now?
Tron versus Ethereum. I got a lot of questions for you.
Oh God. Oh man. I don't know. I'm not gonna get too deep into those. I'm sorry. I don't want people coming after me.
Well, okay. Let's save it for the end. I don't want to disrupt your presentation.
Yeah. Let me get.
There's so much good information here.
Yeah, there's a ton, and I'm sorry if it's, if it's a lot of information. And the reason that I kind of started off at the very beginning like this is because I know that there's people here that have no idea about anything like that. And if I would have just jumped straight into Ethereum and all this kind of, ETH 2.0, I would have lost a lot of people. Not that I'm not losing people right now, but and thank you guys so much for following along. I know it's a ton of info.
Yeah, Daniel, it is a ton of info. And if anybody has any questions or any more information that they need after this event, can you guide them? I mean, I know you're on our Discord, so if you guys are not on our Discord already, please sign up. There should I'll drop a link in the conversation. You can sign up to our Discord, and then Daniel's within our Discord. He can answer your questions if you reach out to him. But also, can you provide some information for those who are like completely lost right now? Because like it's crypto world, right?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, absolutely. I mean, so I'll provide some more links. So on the last couple of slides, and I think you were able to share the slides with everybody. Is that correct?
Yes. So I dropped the link to the slide within our chat on the Zoom. So you guys can access the slide deck there.
Yeah, so if you guys go back a couple of slides, there's some links there. There's actually, on the next slide, you'll see another link. It's to a website called BitDegree, and they actually offer free Bitcoin cryptocurrency training. So you can go through and learn stuff. They'll give you quizzes, and that kind of thing. Now, it's kind of like when I took chemistry when I was going to college, Chem 101. They had like the head of the department teaching the class, and he doesn't even really remember Chem 101, right? So I mean, I'm trying my best to break it down as simply as possible, but honestly, um these are the terms. This is the way it is. I mean, sure, maybe I'm not getting everything 100% correct, and if I do mess up anything, guys, feel free to correct me, please, because I don't want to give out any wrong information. So, but yeah, we'll take tons of questions at the end, and I'll try to get through this here in the next 20 minutes or so, and then you guys can hound me, and if I don't know, I'll look it up for you, and I will take my time to explain it to you, especially in the Discord. So advantages of proof of stake. So low power consumption, faster speeds, no 51% attacks. Okay. Um, hold on, did we? Oh, we went back a slide. Okay, so the different types. So I want to talk about delegated proof of stake. So I said that there's no 51% attack. Okay, but there is a way that you can take over a delegated proof of stake system, and that is by owning enough of the currency. So if you're a whale, let's say like Justin's son, who purchased the Steema Inc., which is a company who owned a ton of this currency. Okay. When he purchased it, he now owned a ton. So much so that he was able to vote in all of his own delegates. So when delegated proof of stake, what you do is the users vote on people to to kind of do the validation of the transactions for them. Um, if you and the way that your the voting weight is based on the amount of Steem currency that you own. So now Justin's son, richest man on Steam at that point, comes in, votes in all of his own delegates, and essentially takes over the blockchain. In fact, he created new code and locked out a bunch. Well, actually, it was the other way around. So it was. You guys need to read about this. I'll post a link about it. It was some of the craziest things that has ever happened in proof of stake ever. I wish more people would talk about it because it is just amazing. Basically, the community came together and just started, dumping money into it and voting their old delegates back in. Once those old delegates got back in, they blocked Justin out. So a man who just purchased this thing for, I don't know, millions of dollars or whatever, got blocked out by the community itself. So it's amazing. It's freaking, yeah, it's amazing, man. I hope someday somebody makes a movie about it because it is so cool. And that's delegated proof of stake. So there is a way to do it in delegated proof of stake, but you got to be like loaded to do it. Super, super loaded. BPOS. This was actually in my research. I'd actually never heard of this. So it's actually very similar to delegated proof of stake. However, the delegates are bonded. So basically, they security deposit based economic consensus protocol in which nodes or these bonded validators have to place a security deposit in order to serve as the kind of the miner, right? So instead of just being voted upon, they put a security deposit in, and I think it's actually it's alluding to what's called master nodes. I think that's how the master nodes work. And even though I worked in master nodes, I had no idea that it was similar to BPOS. So it's not very common. You're not going to see it very much. But what you will see, and especially with Ethereum 2.0 coming up, is just plain old POS, pure proof of stake. Okay. And pure proof of stake is anybody can do it. The nodes can come and go at will, and nobody votes for you. And basically, your reward is based on how many of these nodes you have. Okay, it's very similar to mining crypto, Bitcoin. Depending on how many mining rigs you have, it's the same kind of a deal. So if you have, whatever, I'm not going to get into it too much, but basically it's the main kind of proof of stake algorithm that most chains are using. All right, so let's get into now we're getting into more what all this kind of stuff is that I'm talking about here. It all leads up to this Ethereum. What is Ethereum? So Wikipedia did a really good job. Ethereum is a decentralized open source blockchain featuring smart contract functionality. Ether is the native cryptocurrency token of the Ethereum blockchain platform. It's the second largest cryptocurrency by market capitalization, right behind Bitcoin. So like we were talking about earlier, Chen, it's BTC, almost 20K. I can't buy it. What am I going to buy? Ether, right? So Ethereum it is. Now what makes, and there's by the way, here's the link for BitDegree right there. I just found them the other day. They're really cool. Really cool. It'll help you kind of understand this. This is all, I'm trying to be as general as possible, and I'm trying to just break it down, but sadly this is really deep information. We're already 10 years into this stuff. So but what kind of sets Ethereum aside, from Bitcoin is this virtual machine, basically a computer that they've created on the blockchain, called the EVM. It's a blockchain-based software platform, aka a computer, and it allows developers to create these dApps, these decentralized application. For those of you who are new, dApps are really hot. Everybody loves them. There's games. There's all these different kinds of dApps, decentralized apps. Let me get a drink of water here. So programmers value them for having no downtime. So, I mean, that's one of the strengths of blockchain, right? Is that it never goes down. It's the longest running computer ever. Nobody's ever turned it off. They turned it on, never turned off, never failed. It's amazing. And so downtimes and keeping all created objects safe from modifying. So this is what I had a gripe with Ripple about earlier, is that before we started, is that they can actually change their chain. And for me, that goes against the philosophy. You can write a smart contract, and if you screw up, you screwed up. It's going to be there forever. So I've got some smart contracts out there that aren't the best. If you can find them, have fun. But yeah, so and we call that immutability. Okay, so the fact that you can't change what you put on that blockchain. And again, go to bitdegree.org. It's a really good website to help you learn more about all of this weird magical stuff that I'm talking about. So smart contracts. All right. So before I get into smart contracts, I just want to mention a thing called gas fees. Okay. So gas fees is the kind of the biggest gripe that most users have with Ethereum, is the fact that when you perform a transaction, you have to pay a little bit to make that happen. So these gas fees, they're the transaction fees that are required to pay the miners. Okay. So, which actually gives Ethereum more value. People are paying transaction fees, and then the miners are rewarded via those, as opposed to Bitcoin, where nobody's paying well, I guess you do pay transaction fees, and I guess that's not true. There are transaction fees on Bitcoin as well. They're not called gas, but that's beside the point. So let me just backtrack. So gas fees are a thing. You have to pay them, but they're usually very minimal unless you have network congestion. And I'll get into that in just a second. So smart contracts. Smart contracts, like I mentioned, are immutable code with zero downtime. Okay. They never go down. They always work. The only reason you would never be able to connect to one is if maybe the website that you're using has a connection issue to the blockchain. But the blockchain is always working. The dApp is always working. Okay. So the big power of smart contracts is that they allow for you to cut out the middleman. When I first learned about them, a good example was let's say you have a business and you have to pay your employees, and the way that you do that is you have an accountant who sends out the checks every 2 weeks. Well, what if this accountant doesn't send out the checks? He's only human. Maybe he hates you and wants to steal all your money, or whatever the reason. I don't, maybe he's a crook. I have no idea. Now, smart contracts cut that dude out. We don't need him anymore. They only do what they're supposed to do. And there's this thing called code is law. Okay. So you write the code, you put it on the chain. That code is law. It can never be changed. It will always do what it's supposed to do. No matter, even if it thinks it's crooked, it doesn't matter. Sorry, smart contract. You were coded to do this. Okay. So with so again, that's law beside the point, but basically what this allows us to do is create these fungible and non-fungible tokens. Non-fungible tokens are all the rage as of late. Okay, now let me kind of explain to you. Fungible tokens are indistinguishable from one another, very similar to money. Okay, a dollar is a dollar. If I got a dollar and you got a dollar and you got a dollar, those are all a dollar. They're all the same thing. They all do the same exact thing. Okay. Non-fungible tokens don't have this fungibility. Okay. They're unique. They're similar to a collectible. Okay. When I create a non-fungible token, and then you create a non-fungible token, even if it's on the same chain from the same smart contract, they're different. They're gonna have a different token ID. They're gonna have a different timestamp. They're gonna have all these different kind of characteristics that the coder gives them, and they're different. So one big hot thing right now is art. People, are creating art using these non-fungible tokens and then selling them on the blockchain, which is really freaking cool. Not my thing, but really cool. What I like is I'm going to plug my thing really quick. So I have this DApp called Hash Kings. It's a it's a cannabis growing game. So you have all these non-fungible tokens, these seeds, okay? You can breed them. You use pollen, with female plants, you breed them, you create new strains. And this non-fungible tokens allow me to do this. I got this idea from CryptoKitties. They were kind of the first people to do this. You can look into them if you'd like.
How are the crypto kitties doing?
I don't know. I don't know how they're doing anymore. I think Axis has taken over.
You know what? A while back, I dropped like $50 on like some ether backed thing that was like, it's basically what you were talking about. And this was like basically like it was like a game with, I don't know, like Pokemons. And
Was
you
it Axis?
I don't know. It was like robots or something. And then you can upgrade your robots. Like I don't
Oh
know, something
yeah.
like that. I completely forgot what it was. Like I got a
It sounds
buddy.
familiar. Yeah.
Yeah, I got a buddy who was like, the crypto kitties are going crazy. You got to get in on these robots, and I'm like, all right, let me get in on the hype. I gave him like $50 and never heard from him again.
Yeah, that stuff kind of happened.
Yeah. So yeah, guys, moral of the
Yeah,
story.
happened with fungible tokens too, man. That ICO craze, all this stuff. Yeah, absolutely. But of course, what I really like about them, besides the people who don't know what they're doing or whatever, and they're just trying to rip people off, they actually allow people to make games. There's a game right now. It's so sick. It's called War Riders. It's a first person, like tank and tank battles, and you got like guns and you're running around, you're shooting people and you're fighting against your friends. It's like a real game. It's so cool, man. I wish I could play it. I just never have any time. I have this like one of the top teams. They're like, "Hey, why don't you play with us? We'll give you access to all of our inventory." And I'm like, "Well, that's really kind of you, but I just don't have the time,
You
man.
don't
I'm
got no
sorry."
time.
So if anybody wants to
Yeah.
play War Riders, I got the hookup on that.
Dude,
So
I want to lead like an esports team within GhostSquawk, but I ain't got no
oh
time to play games.
There. Ooh, well, we could talk afterwards. I know of another project that's doing. It's called.
Is it crypto related though? Like, can
Yeah,
you? Oh,
yeah.
okay. All right. Let's
It's
talk.
it's
Let's talk.
it's called MatchNet. Yeah, my buddy's on that team. Yeah, MatchNet, but it's on the Tron blockchain.
Okay. Let's continue here.
Yeah,
We're
I'll continue. Sorry, guys.
sidetracked.
But yeah, I mean that's the power of non-fungible token. It gets people excited. It's not just like stock trading. It's not just, oh, I'm gonna go on the exchange. I'm gonna try to hodl. I'm gonna try to short. I'm trying to do this and that. It's like, oh, cool. I bought this thing and now I can actually play with it. This is so cool. And this is what really got me most excited about Ethereum is non-fungibility. So, all right, now we are finally at the point where it took, I don't know, 40 minutes to get here, and I hope you guys retained even just the proof of stake part of this, because that's what most important. So as I mentioned before, Ethereum has been on proof of work since the beginning. People bought GPUs, graphics cards, and they would run them all day long and mine the currency. So staking on Ethereum 2.0. Ethereum is moving to proof of stake. I should have talked about this earlier, but it's not a fork. If you guys learned what forks are, this is not a fork. This is a network upgrade. Okay. It's going to make it more efficient, quicker. It's going to be green. And they're going to introduce this thing called sharding. Waiting for all of the laughs on that one. My wife laughed when I told her about sharding. Number one rule: don't do it in public. Anyways, I had to say it. So it's a modern database functionality, and it's gonna make Ethereum so cool. 100,000 transactions per second, guys, faster than Visa and Mastercard. Okay, this is the real deal. All right, so there is, it's a huge thing. Nobody at this level has ever done anything like this before. Moving from proof of work to proof of stake. I mean, they're going to piss a bunch of people off. They're making a bunch of people happy. They're just really, they're really putting themselves out there by doing this. And I got to give a shout out to Danny Ryan. I hope to meet you someday, brother, because you are the man, dude. This guy, Danny Ryan, he knows his stuff. He's the one who kind of came up with this whole Ethereum 2.0 thing. So Ethereum staking will be rolled out in 4 different phases. Okay, the most important of which, to the people who are validating, is known as the merge, and it'll happen approximately 18 to 24 months after Genesis. Genesis is the first day. December 1st is when it actually is triggered, or it was triggered, and December 1st it'll happen. So at this point, excuse me, network sharding will be implemented, and the entire Ethereum blockchain is going to be put on one shard. So I don't know if I'm like making hand gestures. You probably can't even see my hands, but the entire blockchain is going to be put on one of these shards, and I think there's 64 of them. Each one of them is like its own little computer. Okay, and so blah, blah, blah. By phase 2, Ethereum 2.0 is going to be completely implemented, and all network functionalities are going to be available. So with Ethereum 2 phase 0, all you're doing is what's called implementing the beacon chain. The beacon chain is what talks to the Ethereum 1 blockchain and kind of allows the validators to make sure they're on track with the ETH1 chain, because they're not trying to fork, they're just trying to upgrade. Okay, so phase 1 and 1.5 specifically during the merge is when it all becomes one chain. Of course, phase 2, as I mentioned, they'll be able to use smart contracts. So as Ethereum 2.0 is at the moment, you will not be able to use smart contracts on it. You have to continue to do that on ETH1. Okay, which is not a big deal. You can still use your favorite dApps. It's not going to affect it whatsoever. So, and I kind of talked about this already, beacon chain implementation on phase 0. Phase 1 will be network sharding, this computer database upgrade. ETH, ETH1 chain moved to shard 0 at phase 1.5, and then phase 2, all the functions will become available. Okay. And let me see. Yeah. Let me go back here. Sorry about that. A couple more slides and then we'll talk about EtherChest. So there's a couple different types of Ethereum 2.0 staking. You can use staking pools or you can do it yourself. It doesn't matter. It doesn't, whatever you want to do, you're going to get the information and hopefully this helps you decide. But staking pools, and this is what EtherChest is we're a staking pool. So the advantages to that, of course, there's no technical skill required. We take care of all that for you. No need to worry about security, and you don't even need the 32 Ethereum. Okay. Some of you might be like 32 Ethereum. That's like $20,000. Yes, it is. So what, this is why I kind of made a pool. I'm like, man, my community can't get involved with this. They don't all have 32 ETH. So we actually allow 0.1 as the minimum to get into the pool. So that's one of the advantages, but I'll talk about EtherChest in a second. So the disadvantages, and this goes back to the very beginning, you don't own your private keys. It's custodial. It's centralized. Don't let anybody try to tell you it's decentralized. I've been hearing people say we have a decentralized staking service. I don't think so, buddy. I don't think so. So solo staking. This, of course, is the best way to do it. If you have the technical skill, you are in control of your private keys. Okay. Of course, like I said, disadvantage, you have to have this technical skill. Don't just expect to be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna install this thing and now I'm good to go and walk away. It's not how it works. You have to be, highly trained in DevOps like I am. So you want to know what you're doing. In fact, well, yeah, I'll get into it in just a moment, but yeah, don't mess around with this stuff, honestly, guys, because you'll need, of course, full 32 Ethereum. At right now, it's like 19.5, something like that, $20,000, let's say. Okay, if you get slashed, you're gonna lose half of that. Maybe not quite half, but you're gonna lose quite a bit. You're gonna lose thousands of dollars if you do this wrong. Okay. You're going to need hardware, and you're going to need backups for that hardware. We've got UPS power supplies. We've got multiple servers that we're using. We have all these different safeguards that we've implemented, which cost us a little bit of extra money, but it's well worth it, because the last thing we want to do is get slashed. Okay, slashing is when you've accrued enough penalties. So I just want to real quick, when you stake on Ethereum, if you're down, you're going to get penalized for that. Okay. For you have I believe 2 minutes to get back online to get into your slot to vote on the next block. Okay. So if you're down for more than 2 minutes, you're going to get penalized. It's not huge, but it adds up over time. And after a certain amount of time, you get what's called slashed, which means you get kicked out. You get kicked out and you're not allowed to validate anymore. And because it's phase 0, you're going to have to wait like 2 years before you get your Ethereum back. Let's say you don't care. All right, well, I got slashed. All right, well, you still can't touch your money. Okay, so just really keep that in mind. It's not an easy thing. And but of course, if you have the skill, it is the best way to do it. Okay. All right, so I kind of went over this again. Drawbacks of staking: you need a minimum of 32 Ethereum to do it, and your stake is locked. Okay, it's locked until phase 1.5, which again, 18 to 24 months. I heard some people say 5 years. Nobody knows. Okay, it all depends on how comfortable the Ethereum core team feels implementing their new systems. Okay, if they think the software is buggy, they're not going to do it. They're not going to implement bugs, not on an immutable chain. They're going to do everything that it possibly takes to make sure that they implement this correctly. Okay, so not only is your stake locked, but your rewards are locked too. So you can't even touch the money. So for the next 2 years, you're going to validate. You don't actually get anything out of it. Not until the end. That's kind of the whole trick here. Okay. It might be a turnoff to people, but EtherChest has a solution for you. Okay. So advanced technical knowledge is needed, like I said, and then you get actually multiple keys. Instead of now having to take care of one key, you got to take care of the wallet key, and you have to take care of the withdrawal key. If you lose that withdrawal key, kiss it goodbye. Okay. All right, here we go. So I hope. So before I get into that, do you have any just quick basic questions on proof of stake? Yes. Okay. Well, never mind. Well, I'm literally 5 minutes from being done, and then you guys can just knock me out with questions. Okay. So EtherChest ecosystem is an Ethereum. EtherChest is an Ethereum 2.0 ecosystem built on a foundation of next generation Ethereum beacon nodes, validator wallets, and smart contracts. Our staking service is powered by a set of smart contracts which control the minting of tokens, manage the maturity of tokens, binds them to the amount of Ethereum a user stakes, plus the future rewards over the lifetime of that stake, and oversees the distribution of user rewards. Okay. What that means, we are solving a lot of these inherent issues with staking during phase 0 and part of phase 1. The way that we do this is we use non-fungible tokens. Our non-fungible tokens are called gems. Okay. So let's say you purchase a diamond. We have diamonds, rubies, sapphires, and emeralds. Say you purchase a diamond, it's 1 Ethereum. 6 months goes by and you want to get out of your stake. You just, for whatever reason, you don't want to do it anymore. You go on a marketplace and you sell your NFT. Easy peasy, wipe your hands clean of it, and you move on. But you get to keep the fungible tokens, which we've given you in replace of the rewards. Okay. So we're going to give you fungible tokens called ducats that offer liquidity. When the merge happens, you can send us those ducats and you're going to get the Ethereum, the equivalent Ethereum to the ducats. We have them pegged at 0.00001 ducat per Ethereum, or 1 ducat per that Ethereum. So one, was it 10,000, 100,000. So you get a lot of them. Okay. You can use you'll be not right away, but you'll be able to use your ducats to actually purchase gems too. And that's one of the things we're going to do. So what we've done is you no longer have to be locked into your stake, and we've given you a way for your rewards to be liquid. Okay. So why EtherChest? Why would you use us? Okay. So first of all, we have a highly trained technical team, experienced blockchain developers. All right. We've been in the industry for a long time. We offer transparency on and off chain. Your stake can be exchanged via NFT marketplace, like I'd mentioned, and your rewards are liquid and can also be exchanged or used to buy NFTs. In fact, our ducats are already available on OpenSea. If you have ducats, you can use them to purchase other NFTs. I'll give you guys links to this stuff too when we're done here. Okay. We have a trusted reputation. I've been all over the place. Lots of people know who I am. Blockchain Gaming has been a really big supporter of mine. All over the Hive blockchain, and people know us. I want to give a shout out to my partner AJ Brockman, who is a fantastic artist. Please look him up. He's got a phenomenal story. This man's amazing. Okay. We have affordable staking options, a minimum of 0.1 Ethereum, and responsive community support. I come from a customer service background, so that to me is key. Johan was, I think it was you, was asking me all sorts of questions. He can tell you that I'm responsive. I want people to understand this. Okay. So yeah, well, you guys made it. Honestly, we're done. We're done. So above all, we care about our clients. That's number one for me. So, and I'm so proud of you guys for sticking around. I'm amazed. Thank you so much.
Well, Daniel, I can speak for myself when I say, I really appreciate you spending the time here with everybody. and sharing your knowledge. And I can definitely see the customer service aspect of what you're talking about here.
Yeah.
Now,
I mean, I love community, man. You know, without community, I wouldn't be here, dude. I wouldn't be, you know, none of us would be. We're a social creature.
yeah.
We need to embrace that.
Well, I mean, the crypto community on Twitter is actually how we got connected. Just to
Exactly. Yeah.
let some of you guys don't know. I mean, Daniel was on our GhostSquawk Experience podcast, and he shared some very valuable information with regards to Ethereum and Ether staking 2.0, which I found was very useful. And the information blew over my head, to be honest. And, I need to learn more because this is something that's very interesting. And I really wanted to share this to the Ghost Squad community and to everybody else, um, to understand this new form of technology and how it could benefit those who are involved in this, right?
Yeah,
So
it's fantastic stuff,
I
man.
I really appreciate it. I have
Thank you.
several questions for you and for Ethereum and all that, and hopefully you can answer. But I'm gonna save my questions for last and open it up to everybody who's here with us. If you guys have any questions, please type it in the chat, and we'll. I guess Daniel, you can try to answer the questions as the
I'll
best.
try. Yeah, I'll try my
Yeah.
best.
So yeah, if you guys have any questions, I think now is probably like the best time to do it.
The less questions, the better. Oh, here we go.
All right, so
Nice, nice.
um I believe this is Johan. He says, "Can smart contracts be compared to bank transfers, but without the banks itself?" So for example, he's sending money to his mom.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that a smart contract is the bank.
Well, you
So,
are the bank, right? That's
right,
the idea with
right.
the smart contract, right? You are the bank.
The smart contract is the teller. So the guy behind the counter, right?
Yeah.
So you're the bank, you got a teller, but that teller is a piece of code that
Mhm.
never messes up. Okay.
Right.
It always does what it's supposed to do. So in a way, to answer your question short, yes, very much so. But remember that the smart contract is a piece of code which acts as more the teller.
Mhm.
It doesn't allow people to cheat. It takes the human, the infallible human out of the equation. Yeah,
Right.
good
Um,
question.
I, I have a very good example of this. I mean, like the reason why I got interested in cryptocurrency is because I sent a lot of money back to my relatives back in Vietnam, and there's always a huge spread. Like you use like Western Union, whatever. You send $1,000 and they're taking like 5%,
Right.
right? Which is a big amount, right? And cryptocurrency solves this problem, where you're trying to send money to relatives across the world, and you can send it very fast. Like traditional ways of sending money takes at least 24 hours, if not more, to
Oof.
verify who you are, to verify the other end who's receiving the money, and they go through this entire process just to make sure that everything's right, and it can take quite a while. And if you need money right away, that's going to be a big that's going to be a big issue, and
Yeah.
then cryptocurrency solves that problem.
Right.
But what I've also noticed, and I've encountered this talking to many people, is that certain countries outlaw the use of cryptocurrencies,
Right.
right? And it kind of goes to what the cryptocurrency community is all about, is that you can have jurisdictions that outlaws cryptocurrencies, right? But cryptocurrencies, to a certain extent, is supposed to be kind of like anonymous, to a sense. Like anybody can have like a
Borderless
wallet on their
even.
phone,
Yep.
right? And can effectively bypass the entire legality system of
Yep.
wherever they're staying, right? But it has like this double standard. Like there's law abiding citizens who will be like, I can't really accept cryptos because they ban it here. And then there's other people who are like, fuck it, this is money, this is my money, I don't want to pay a big spread for it, and I want it now.
Yeah.
Send me
People. Yeah.
cryptos,
People do it.
right? So people will still do it, right? So it's a catch-22, but it's really what made me very interested in cryptos, because that is a big problem solver of cryptos itself.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I know a lot of people over in Africa, and they have issues like they can't get a PayPal account. They can't get credit cards.
Hmm.
They can't do these different things. So they look at crypto as an answer to that,
Right,
and it works for them.
right.
Works well.
So
Works
what do you
really well.
what do you think of, like, jurisdictions around the world that are quote unquote unbanked? Have you heard of the term unbanked? Like unbanked,
I haven't heard of that. I can imagine what it means.
like you like in the modern world, right? Like you go to a bank, you sign up for a bank account, and then you're effectively part of the financial system. You work, you get paid, the money goes to your bank account, you get access to your funds. It's a bank that serves as a middleman between your funds and how you earn your funds, right?
Right, right.
There's a large portion of the world, like specifically emerging markets, and this is a macro trend, a macro
Oh, wow.
fundamental trend in the markets, right? Where um people over in, like, Africa, for example, they're what we refer to as unbanked, meaning that they don't have access to traditional banking services such as savings account, checkings account, access
Right.
to
Okay.
credit, things like that, right?
Yep.
And the cryptocurrency market really solves a lot of these problems.
Yeah, okay, yeah, totally. I mean, that's kind of what I was alluding to. Exactly. People in Africa, I mean, it's all over the world. My personal experience is over there. That's why I mentioned that.
Mhm.
But yeah, definitely. It goes across borders. I saw Johan had another question about the gas fees. Yes, the gas fees go directly to the miners. And there's a thing called congestion, and I swear that I put it in my slides, and maybe I talked about it. There's so much I forgot it already. But basically, when there's network congestion, meaning there's a lot of transactions happening, and the chain can't keep up, the gas fees go really high. And that's when miners like to mine the most. Actually, is when the gas fees are really high because their reward goes up. hmm Absolutely. And I
Um,
think there was a second part to that here.
okay, can we just go back to that first part?
Yeah.
With regards to the gas fees, is the gas fees proportionate to the position size, or sorry, the amount that you're trying to transfer?
No, not well. Okay, so it's not necessarily no. If you're just trying to send straight Ethereum, it's going to be the same. Whether I'm sending 1,000 or I'm sending one, it's going to be the same. Because it's actually based on how much memory you're using. So how large of a byte sector that you're actually using.
Okay.
So for instance, if you send a transaction just some money or some ether, then it's going to be the same across the board. If you use a smart contract, each smart contract functionality may require more bytes per
Mm.
transaction. So that will make it vary. Yes. So one example, I had this project called Document. It was my very first experience with smart contracts. And what I did, or actually ERC 721, the non-fungible tokens. So what I did is I created a front end, a platform that people could go on and just type up whatever they wanted. It was like a diary. Okay. Now, based on the amount that you wrote, determined the gas fees. So in
Mm.
that case, it got really expensive for some people. And there's a good friend of mine who's been in crypto a long time. God bless his heart. He he wrote out some really amazing stuff on there, and I was actually just looking at I was at CoinFest. Well, not at it, I guess I was right here, but I gave a talk at CoinFest. Was it 2 weeks ago? And I talked about Document, and so I went on to EtherScan and I tried to find the contract again, and I found it, and I found his writing, and I was like,
Mhm.
man, he wrote all that. He spent like $75 to write that. That's awesome. So yeah, depending on the size of the amount of memory that you're
Yeah.
using, that's what determines the
Okay.
the transaction fee, and of course the congestion too. So if there's a lot of people trying to do it at the same time, that's going to drive up gas fees.
Ah, okay. I see. Because like I never really understood gas fees. I mean, like gas. I always thought it was like trading. You know, like your whatever you pay is proportionate to the amount of size you put on the trade.
No, because you got to remember Ethereum,
Yeah.
EVM, Ethereum virtual machine, it's a computer.
Yeah.
Computers use memory, right?
Right.
So this is kind of its memory, if you will.
Oh, okay.
There's another blockchain called EOS. Have you heard of them? EOS.
Yes. Yeah.
Um,
Yes. I've heard of it.
so there's actually a really cool piece of software on there called Wax, like wax on, wax off, wax.io. Their big non-fungible token platform.
Uh-huh.
They have it set up really cool. I mean, you literally buy RAM, you buy CPU power from them. It's really cool. It's
Oh.
yeah. So and that kind of helps you, at least visualize this whole kind of virtual machine aspect of blockchain. And now back to Ethereum 2.0 really quick, because this ties in with the gas fees. Imagine if you can do 100,000 transactions per second, there's not going to be that much congestion. So hopefully gas fees won't skyrocket. When Uniswap came out, I think people were paying $300 in gas fees. So, like,
Jesus
wow,
Christ.
yeah, yeah, but it's settled now.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's
I
see.
believe there was another question from like Johan.
Yeah, let me. So he, for example, me 200 million. So again, the gas, yeah. So the gas fees go directly to the miners. Um, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say royalties, because royalties you always get, you always get paid, even in, you always get paid those. This is a one-time thing. When you solve a block, you get the reward, and then that's it. And then, and then the next time a miner solves it, then he gets the reward. And then, so it's not a continuous thing. It's just at the moment you get that reward.
Okay,
Um,
because I was like curious to start mining myself, even if if I lose money, if people would like keep using my block until infinity, it'd be like fucking
I
great.
wish. Yeah, if that was the case, everybody would mine. Yeah, heck yeah, I'd be all over it. But now, sadly, it's not. No, it's not like that. But yeah, hey, good thinking. You're thinking along the right lines here. So yeah, you won't get money forever like that. No. Okay, last question. He says, who gets your cryptos when you lose your key?
They're
Nobody.
gone forever, right?
It's just there in the wallet forever.
Yeah.
So they help to
Just
increase
stays
the
there.
price pretty much, since they're
Yeah.
nobody can buy them.
Yeah,
Nobody
yeah,
can
it can
supply.
create scarcity, actually.
Yeah.
Nice.
Actually, this is one of the things with the Bitcoin market, because Bitcoin has like a 21 million supply, right? I actually know a buddy who bought Bitcoin like pre 2017. He had like several hundred Bitcoins in
Mhm.
a USB stick that he just lost. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's like that guy. It's like that guy that.
Yeah, you
it's
can see the collective sigh of everybody's going,
Oh, man.
yeah, like we're talking like several hundred coins here. At the
Oh,
yeah, right.
he doesn't deserve. Tell him he's not allowed. He's
Yeah,
you're
but
out. You're gone, dude. You're
but
done.
yeah,
Don't do it again. Oh man, I'm sorry. That's got like
yeah,
I feel like I
that's
missed
gotta
out, but
sting,
if I
right?
that's gotta hurt.
That's gotta hurt a lot, right?
That's
I
the
mean,
thing, that's why these paper wallets too, they're
yeah,
good, man. Like
yeah.
I got backups of backups of backups, bro. Like I'm not losing this shit. It's not happening. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. um,
Yeah, it's crazy, but again, like what you said, it creates scarcity, right? I mean,
it does, yeah.
the Bitcoin market has just 21 million coins, right? So
Right.
if those coins are gone, like he lost a USB stick, those coins are gone. So theoretically, it's less than 21 million. And I can't imagine how many other people who have like lost Bitcoins or can't remember their keys or things like that.
Hey,
They
I'm
paid,
guilty. I've
right?
done it. I've lost keys. I was a noob once too, man. I
Yeah.
lost
No,
keys.
like like how many other people have lost keys, and now you're looking at depleted supply. So theoretically speaking, it's less than 21 million from all the people who've just gone.
Yeah, somebody was telling me interesting statistic. Something only like 3 to 4 million Bitcoin are actually liquid.
Yeah, the rest are just hodled or
Hodled
gone.
or lost.
Yeah,
Yeah, isn't
hodled,
that
lost,
crazy?
or in the process of being mining. But I'm not quite sure what the count is at the moment or the
Right.
mathematics on it. But like we're very close to 20, like 20
Oh yeah,
million.
I was just looking it up. We're almost 19 now. 18, no, 18.5. So
Ah,
we've
okay,
got about 2.5 million left.
okay. Is there
And
a supply on Ethereum?
no,
So Ethereum is unlimited.
it's unlimited. And that's kind of, I think that's part of the reason they want to switch to proof of stake, because it kind of starts to control the supply as Ethereum is
Mm,
locked. It of course limits the amount. It creates scarcity,
okay.
and the issuance of it um is also diminished.
Hmm.
There's a really good graph, and I was looking all day for it. I couldn't find it. I'll find it though, I promise. But it basically breaks it down. Oh, I was actually talking to Johan about it. It breaks it down basically. You got 1 million staked. This is your reward. This is how much ETH is allocated, and so on. So it's like this weird, like
Oh, okay.
logarithmic kind of scale. And I believe, and man, I'm still learning about Ethereum too as well. Like I know a lot, but there's just so much still to learn, like, but I believe the issuance of the token itself, the ether itself, is also based on that. So if you guys want to correct me in the comments, I mean, I'm sure I'm gonna get ripped apart anyways, but yeah.
Well, there's another question I've been saving up to ask you at the end. I was put on to Tron by a buddy who really believed that Tron was going to be a big competitor to Ethereum, and he basically said that the Tron network was superior to Ethereum. Right. So, what is your take on that?
Well, I mean, maybe it was for a minute, but now with proof of stake on Ethereum, it's, it's not better anymore. I mean, I think the only reason that it was better at all is because it was proof of stake, and I think that's. But man, so I have a lot of friends on Tron. I've actually worked on projects on the Tron blockchain too. So I don't really want to talk too much crap about it, but I don't know. I'm an Ethereum fanboy, and like
Okay.
like I don't know, man. So like the thing is, like, the technology is a little bit different. Okay, so again, it's kind of this delegated proof of stake where I'm not 100% like certain about it. I've used it a little bit, enough to kind of get used to using it, but you
Uh-huh.
basically you lock your tokens, okay, and I believe you delegate them to these super representatives, is
Yeah.
what they call them there, right? And these super representatives are the ones that are earning the validation rewards. So it's a delegated proof of stake type of system, which proof of stake in itself is superior in many ways to proof of work.
Hmm.
So in that respect, I think yes. Also, the one, I guess, upside to Tron, even though they do have them now, they didn't. They're very minimal for a long time, is they didn't actually have gas fees.
Hmm.
But now they do. I don't know what they're called, but they're essentially gas fees. So now you also have gas fees on Tron, and with Ethereum moving to proof of stake, I think Ethereum is superior, especially with this 64 shards database that they come up with.
So
Tron needs to do something now to catch up.
so basically, I got suckered into a shitcoin.
No, I wouldn't say no. I wouldn't say that. I think that Tron has a really good vision. They've um, they've really held to their roadmap. They've developed dApps. There's lots of dApps. There's a community. I wouldn't call it a shitcoin at all. I think Tron is here to stay. for sure. It's going to be one of the main ones, in my opinion. So there'll be Bitcoin and
Oh,
some.
okay. So, all right.
It's definitely you didn't get suckered in
Thanks for
to a
validating me.
shitcoin. No.
Thanks for validating me, because
Yeah, no,
I
you're
own quite
good.
a bit of Tron, and I'm like, oh god.
But it's the same thing, like Ethereum. So I mean, there's a lot of back and forth between Justin and Vitalik. So if you want to read
Yeah.
drama, there's like some of this. Vitalik says, "Oh, you just copied us," and he's like, "Oh no, like," and there's all this kind of shit. And I don't, whatever, bro. Like, just make it work for us, and you guys could say whatever you want about each other.
Yeah,
I don't
absolutely.
care. But no, it's definitely not a shit coin. It's a solid thing for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, good question.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So I got another question for you, and this is this is not on the Ethereum or Ethereum staking, but we did touch on Ripple a little bit earlier,
Okay.
and Ripple prices have been going crazy.
Mhm.
Just disclosure, I own some Ripple, but I also own a lot of Lumens, which is
Lumen, baby.
it's supposed to be like a competitor to Ripple, right? So do you have an opinion on that? What's your take on that? Now
Actually,
disclosure, guys, I'm by no means like an expert in cryptos at all. Like a lot of the crypto knowledge that I get is just from like talking to guys like Daniel, going on YouTube, talking to people on crypto, on Twitter about cryptos, and that's where my information comes from. And I hear good things, and I just go, all right, sounds good. Let's put some money in and see what happens, right? So
right. I actually did not know. I don't know if that's true that Ripple and XLM are competitors like that.
well,
I
I mean the Ripple market is more catered towards like the banking sector, so to speak.
Oh, okay. I see what you're
Whereas
saying.
XLM is more focused on consumer.
Yeah, consumer, and actually the energy industry is kind of what they first started off at
Mhm.
least. Um, so XLM or Lumens is not really one that I know too much about.
Okay,
It's
that's,
one
that's
that I
fair.
like to. It's one that I like to trade
Mhm.
though. Um, it was just 9 cents last week, and now it's 22 cents. So I mean, I don't
I
know.
bought it.
It's
I
another
bought.
one of them kind of penny stocks, I guess.
Yeah, yeah. That's
But a
funny.
good one. I'm pretty sure. I mean, it's been a long time. I mean, um, during the crash, man, I gave up on a lot of these things. I
Yeah,
said,
you know what? It's funny that you mentioned that, because my first introduction into lumens was like way back, like after like 2017, right? And I got lumens back then. It was like 30 cents.
Yeah, yep.
And I got out. I took a loss on the lumens when it was like 25 cents. I took a loss.
Mm-hmm.
But then I got back in at like 8 cents just before that pop, like that we're seeing now,
Dude,
right? And it's
there were.
interesting to see, because everybody, like, this is what I like to look at the market in terms of psychology and overall markets, right? The overall market in crypto space, like everything is up, right?
Mm-hmm.
And people in the crypto market, doesn't matter what crypto you're in, right? Everybody's coming to me. They're like, "Oh, this market is going crazy. The technicals align. They're trying to throw out fundamentals to justify why you should get into a shitcoin." And I'm just looking at it like, from a bigger picture, like, it to me, it seems like there's a couple key things happening, right? Like, I look at the market from a fundamental perspective, and from a fundamental perspective, I see that there is a lot more money supply going to the markets, right? Money supply from all major economies around the world.
Yeah.
And what I've also noticed, that in terms of sentiment, and I look at Twitter sentiment, right? The Twitter is an absolute amazing place for sentiment, because it's where anybody can say anything, right? And what everybody is saying on Twitter is, go long cryptos, buy this coin, buy that coin. So the sentiment is just through the roof, and it's driving a massive push into every single cryptocurrency.
Yeah.
It
Well,
doesn't matter
exactly.
if it's shitcoin.
Exactly. Well, and that's the thing. People are like, "Oh, Ripple, Ripple, Ripple," or Lumens, Lumens, Lumens. It's like, well, it's not because people necessarily are like, oh, this is the next big thing. You know, it's more, oh, this has been around for a while. I made a ton of money on Bitcoin.
Yep.
I want to keep this train going. What's cheap? Oh, let's buy this. Cool. Boom, 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 boom.
Well, to be honest, what I look at, the way I look at it is, you know, your ordinary investor, like everybody here who's never participated in the cryptos market in the last 2-3 years, who look at Bitcoin because that's the coin that's mostly talked about, and they go, $20,000 a coin. No, I can't afford that.
Right.
But Ripple at 10 cents a coin. Oh shit. You know, I got a couple $100 to throw it in there.
Right.
Right. So, and then when you start doing your research, you go, well, Litecoin, Ethereum, these are the next best coins. And these coins are nowhere near their relative values to 2017 highs, right? And they go, this thing is massively undervalued.
Well, and
Right.
exactly. If you look at the charts, right? I mean,
Yeah.
you just kind of, I like to pull it all the way out. So from
Yeah.
the beginning, you
Yeah, the
know,
bigger
and
picture.
just watch the big picture. And man, you see Bitcoin and it's filling up that valley, you know,
Mhm.
and then you got Ethereum and it's following the same trend, man. And
Yep.
then all the other ones are finally kind of waking up, man.
Yep.
And it's because, yeah, I mean, why would, if something's 5 cents, dude, all it takes is 1 cent for you to earn like 20% on
20%.
your
Yeah, exactly.
investment.
Right.
Like
Exactly.
that's hard to pass up.
Like this is what people don't understand when it comes to trading or markets. Like Bitcoin's at 19,000. For it to go to 20,000, that's a very, very small percentage gain, right? But for a 1 cent coin to go to 2 cents, that's a 100% gain.
Yeah.
You
Doesn't
know?
take much either.
Yeah, exactly, right.
I
And
mean,
so that's
I was trading, you know, the big coin that I was trading back in the day was XBG Verge. That's the one that taught me how to day trade. Because I mean, it was literally just like buy it at 45 Satoshis, sell it at 46.
yeah.
You know, it was
No,
like that's all it took for me to make a profit. You know, so that was a really cool one to trade. And then of course I got out of it before it did that number. Whatever. Just
somebody's
trading's
saying
not
to
for
read
me.
more
I
into
know
the
a lot
price.
about it. I know how to do it. I just can't do it. Like it's one of those things. I don't know. You know, it's like I could visualize, like I know how to do a backflip, bro. I can't actually do a backflip. You know, I think it's just kind of the same thing. Like I can tell you all day long how to do it. Maybe hopefully you can, but yeah, I'm just
Ken
not
can do
that
the
trained.
backflip.
Yeah, for sure. Um, do you guys have any other questions here? I mean, we do have quite a few people here. Do you guys have any other questions for Daniel? Here
I
about
mean, there's a couple. Yeah, I mean, honestly, guys, I as far like again, as far as like financial and that kind of thing, that's just not really my wheelhouse. I'd love to give you my opinion on compound or tell you Coco's is a good thing or whatever, but if you want to learn about the technology, or just anything about my background, you know, of course we run a custodial service, so you know people want to know um that they can trust me. So if you have questions like that, I'm totally open, or anything that I covered like in the in the presentation. You know, I'm more than happy to answer. And of course, like Chen mentioned, I'm all over the Discord. Just tag me, and you know, I'll pop over. I'm up usually pretty late, and then you know, I'm up at like 6 a.m. usually checking my messages. I usually go back to sleep because I'm usually up till like 2 a.m. But I'm usually up by 6 just to kind of check in and make sure I'm not missing out on something. And then I'll take a couple hour nap, and I'm usually usually back up at 8 a.m. and that's when things start happening.
I take it you're tapping to the crypto network, right?
Oh man, it is, dude. Like,
Just to make sure nothing collapsed.
dude, like when it broke 19, it woke me out of a dead sleep. I go, oh, what happened? What's going on? I'm like, oh wow,
Yeah.
19199. Oh, I hit up my buddy, bro. It broke
Well,
that
I'll tell
19.
you this. You know you're a real trader when you know the first thing you do after you like wipe up all the crust off your eyes is that you go to your phone and you look at a chart.
I know, I know, I
So
know,
bad,
I
it's
know,
so
God.
It's so bad, but you know it's in you when that's the first thing you do.
Yeah, it's in me. It's definitely in me.
Yeah.
Oh, quick one on EtherChest. Yeah, yeah, please. Yeah, well, go ahead. Okay. Yeah, NFTs and gems. Yeah, yeah, sure. Yeah, so it looks like somebody has a question about the NFTs, called the gems, the diamonds and whatnot that we use.
Also got a question on compound. What do you guys think of compound? So
Oh, so the gems. Um, yeah. So he asks, would it only be available through the Ether staking? Um, so that is actually the main purpose of them. Yeah. So I mean, let me explain that a little bit, actually. So it's a concept that, as far as I know, I invented. Okay, so it's a DeFi NFT. And what that means is when you purchase that NFT, you're purchasing a sort of seat inside of a validator. So a diamond is our highest priced one. It's 1 Ethereum. If you bought that from anybody, Johan or Chen or me or some dude off OpenSea or whoever, you get the rewards. The rewards are always tied to those gems. So you don't have to get them from us. If somebody wants to sell it to you, through a different marketplace, you can get them there. Yeah, and you will earn the rewards. Our system is set up to where whoever owns the NFT earns the rewards. Yep. Getting all sorts of messages here, but well, thanks, man.
I got a question from Wale on what do you think of compound?
I have no idea. I know that it's like a DeFi thing, and you earn interest rate. I bought some of it on Coinbase not too long ago, and I was earning, but then the price was kind of going through the floor, so I got out of it. And yeah, I don't know too much about it. I've kind of, to be honest with you guys, I've stayed away from DeFi a bit. Like like I just I'm weird sometimes. I'm still kind of old school, and I got burned, really hard in 2017 and 2018. I bought into some ICOs that nobody should have bought into, and now I just kind of have a bit of a trust issue.
Mhm.
So, I'm not
Well,
the guy that jumps in on things first. So, if Compound is around, sticks around for a little while, a couple of years, then I'll probably revisit it and take advantage of their. You get rewards for holding it, I believe.
well, I would have trust issues too. I mean, I know some horror stories of people who rode the rocket up to the moon and then rode that same rocket back down to the ground.
That's
So yeah, you know, they never got off the ship. They
yeah,
never
exactly.
got off the rocket, right? Like when you get to
Exactly.
your destination, you're supposed to get out.
You're supposed to get off. You're supposed to go
Yeah,
back. Yeah, that's a good
they
way.
stayed on the rocket and came back.
Yeah. Well,
Like
I'm gonna
right
answer.
back, like literally right back. Like you'd be surprised at the numbers I throw out. Like
Yeah, I was doing this stupid thing where I was trying to hedge against the altcoins, where I'm like, okay, well, man, when Bitcoin, because it was like this pattern during 2017, Bitcoin would go down and the altcoins would go up because kind of their price was dependent on that. You know what I mean?
yeah,
So as Bitcoin went down, they kind of stabilized.
mm,
Dude, 2018,
mm,
Bitcoin went down, alts went down. Bitcoin went down, alts went down.
yeah.
And I mean, I should have been accumulating. I was trying to accumulate as much as possible, but I was still a fairly new trader. And
Oh no!
I was,
Don't tell me you were dollar cost averaging on the way down during.
bro.
Well,
Yeah.
I guess I mean if you hodled until now, you'd be okay.
Well,
But
yeah, and that's the thing. I should have just held on to it. I
yeah,
mean,
I
I
mean,
tried everything except just holding on to it. I
yeah,
panicked. And that's why when I try to give people, they ask me for advice, I say, man, you know, you got to learn to read the graphs. You got to learn
Yeah.
all the different
Well,
techniques, and there's nothing that anybody can really tell
well,
you.
this funny thing is this is gonna transition to a plug. But myself and my partner, we're about to launch our very first book called The 50 Rules of Trading, right? And rules like that are
Oh,
in
nice.
the book. Yeah, yeah, exactly. You know, I mean,
Dude, killer. Yeah, dude, I'm gonna get that. I'm gonna get that
yeah,
book.
no, like we talk about like weak hands in the market and how like if the market's going against you, right? Like you just can't be averaging down and then especially in leverage positions. If you're averaging down in leverage positions, you're gonna get killed.
Yeah.
But if you're
Yeah.
averaging down in a coin, like most coins are not leveraged, right? So when you average down, you actually own the coins. If you stay the course, you'll be okay, right? But if
Yeah,
you
let me
don't
let me
stay the
just
course, you're gonna
let
get
me just I don't mean to cut you off. Let me just answer this
yeah.
one more question, because we're almost done here. Um uh Sounds like there could be a market in NFTs. So yeah, we are actually creating a market ourselves on etherchest.com. So you'll be able to
Well,
do this kind of thing. And we have what's called a VIP service, which gains you entrance into the market. So we're not going to allow just anybody in. You're going to have to actually have a VIP status, which we're still trying to figure out the threshold for that. But and then and it was in something that's sort of arbitrage. Yes, and yes, I had weak hands, but not anymore. These are strong hands now. But yeah. Anyways, I just wanted to make sure I answered everybody's question here.
yeah.
Sorry to cut you off, Jen.
No, that's completely fine. Um, Look, Daniel, I really appreciate you spending the time here with us today, teaching everybody about Ethereum and Ether staking and what they can do on the Ether chest in terms of staking
My
and
pleasure.
collecting gems and whatnot. Much appreciated. I'm pretty sure everybody feels the same way. Um, if you have any additional information you want to share to everybody who's here or everybody who cannot make it and who's watching this, where can they find more information about your projects and what you're doing?
Man, honestly, I'll type this
You
in.
know,
If you guys,
aside from joining the GhostSquawk Discord, which
right.
you're
So if you type in what I just typed in there, coin, if you type that into
yeah.
Google, you're gonna get quite a bit of stuff on what I've done. Some of the links are gonna be broken, only because those projects aren't running anymore.
Mhm.
But you're gonna get a bunch of information. I was looking the other day, and if you type in my full name, Daniel Pittman, along with this coin, you're going to get even more. You're going to get pages and pages of information on Google about me, about the projects that I've done, um, and anything like that. I also have my own Discord server. Let me, if I can pull this open here, if you don't mind, I'll drop that link too, and then you guys can join me in there. I've got several, but I'll go ahead and drop the Ether chest one. Hold on a second. Create invite. And this invite is actually here. I'll make it so it's good forever with no limit. No limit soldier. And there you go. So that's actually the link to the Ether chest Discord. And my screen name is Coin. People like to say Quan. However you want to say that is fine with me. But yeah, you can find me under that username, and I'm the founder, so you should be able to find me in the founders category on the in the list of users. So yeah, feel free to come by and ask questions, especially now. We're just getting started, so you get a lot of time with me. I imagine once we launch publicly, to allow everybody to start staking, it's gonna get wild. I'm already again giving seminars like this. I've got some interviews coming up. I've got more presentations to do here in Altspace VR actually in about 3 weeks. And of course I code and do all the marketing and everything. So I'm a really busy guy, but I love helping all of my clients and my users. And like I said, the community is the most important thing to me. So yeah, feel free to reach out on my Discord, and yeah, I'll give you guys, and I really appreciate that too. Thank you, Joel, for saying that.
Perfect.
But
So
yeah,
yeah, let's just wrap this up right here. Daniel, as always, it's a pleasure having you. Thank you very much for being a part of the community, sharing all of your knowledge with cryptocurrencies and Ethereum staking, and for being a part of the GhostSquawk community. If there's anybody who's with us who wants to join Daniel's EtherChest community, by all means, the link is there, and any other information, we'll drop it here. We'll obviously send you a link of this recording so that you can share it to all of your audience as well.
cool. Appreciate it. And I appreciate everybody who stayed up really late to watch this.
Yeah, for sure. So
All right.
we'll start that. We'll leave that there as a wrap. Thank you very much, everybody.